Hello and welcome to the latest episode of the FPL Affairs podcast, the podcast that strips back and lays bare our season-long love affair with FPL. In our latest transfer video, we discuss the Swans' most recent differentials and get out Hippo's crystal balls to predict who will well and truly score this game week. Will anyone get a 5-star performance? We also share our thoughts about possible transfers in and out. Before we get started, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel, hit that bell for any notifications each time we release new content. Anyway, enough of my small talk. Let's get cracking.
And there's Mo Salah. There goes Haaland. He's on his way again. He's hungry. He's scored. Ice cold precision from Palmer. Oh, Saka! That is a diamond of a goal.
Greetings everybody and welcome to our Game Week 3 transfers and team selections video with me, Matt, aka the FPL Affairs Magpie, and accompanying me once again is Paul, aka the FPL Affairs Weasel. How are you today, my friend?
I'm good, thank you, Matt. How are you?
Not too bad, and hoping I can put Game Week 2 to bed and forget about it. Quickly, how did you get on?
It was okay. Obviously, our bench boost, which gave me an extra 10 points, so we're neck and neck now.
Yeah,
But
although
obviously,
you didn't follow
it
my
helped.
advice.
Yep, so always listen to the veteran, noted.
Mm,
But everyone had a poor week, so I've never
yeah,
known it in FPL that to have 2 game weeks in a row, which are in that poor, is unheard of in the 21 years I've been playing.
yeah, it is a bit
Expect a
bonkers.
couple of season,
Mm,
but not together.
yeah, so we
Hopefully,
best
third
move
time
on.
lucky.
Yeah, move on, put it behind us, and get on with preparing for Game Week 3. Yep.
Uh-huh.
Okay, righty. Our Game Week 3 transfers, and most probably this will take one video, and our second part will be on our team selections. But yeah, transfers and Hippos predictions for this week, which are quite interesting, to be honest. So we'll start off before we crack on with the fixtures for Game Week 3. We'll just have a look at FPL Affairs Swans differentials, differential kings from last week, and if they were kings or not. Because unfortunately for recording schedules that he hasn't been able to complete his video for this week quite yet. I think he's recording at the same time as us. But anyway, Sunderland trio, we can probably don't really need to discuss those three much, really, do we?
Yep, they're back to Sunderland we were suspecting in the Premier League this year.
Mm, back to the
So,
ridiculous. So yeah, they lost to
obviously,
Burnley. So those players all
uh,
playing. Odegaard. Personally, I thought that was a great shout, and I put him as my differential for the week. So I was really, really bummed when he got injured, to be honest.
it just sums up the game week, really.
Mm.
The players you think are going to hull and that just didn't hull or got injured.
Mm. But I bet Barry was delighted at his Tavernier 0.5% owned selection.
How many points did he get? I didn't see that one.
I didn't notice the total, but the fact that in the early few minutes of the game he scored certainly gives a promising start to the game. And then you're looking at the Chelsea boys, which did Neto actually get anything against West Ham? Yeah, he got a goal,
Yeah,
didn't
he
he?
scored, didn't he?
Did he get any assists as well?
No, he got no assist. I'm just looking now.
Mm.
He
Enzo
just scored a
scored as
goal.
well. So yeah,
And
not
yeah, Enzo's game got an assist as well, Enzo.
so not too bad if you think
So,
out of Barry's 9, a third of them scored, or
uh,
if you write off the Sunderland 3, half of the other 6 scored. So yeah,
and
I'd
maybe
say
he should be doing our predictions.
Mm. Yeah, well, it's
instead of Hippo.
yeah. I'll be interested to see when he goes head to head with Kieran for Kieran's FPL Affairs Hippo's Crystal Balls, which we'll move on to shortly. But okay, looking at the fixtures for game week 3, we have got no Friday evening kickoff, so therefore our deadline for this week's is 11 o'clock on Saturday morning, I think, rather than Friday night. But the lunchtime kickoff is South London derby, Chelsea Fulham. Then the 3 o'clock kickoffs, Manchester United, Burnley, Tottenham, Bournemouth, Sunderland, Brentford, Wolves, Everton, Leeds, Newcastle's the late Saturday kickoff. Then on Sunday, Brighton, Man City, Forest, West Ham, and the later ones, Liverpool, Arsenal, and instead of Monday Night Football, that fixture has been moved to a 7 p.m. kickoff on Sunday, which is Aston Villa, Crystal Palace. Um, any fixtures there that stand out to you in particular?
Well, the first 8 fixtures are absolutely fantastic FPL wise. Now you expect the players to haul against the weaker teams, but obviously Liverpool Arsenal's the tie of the week, which I'm expecting to probably be a tool draw like last season, both games. And Aston Villa versus Crystal Palace could be another good one because Aston Villa are all over the place and Palace have done pretty well considering they've hardly got any players
Mhm.
and they've had some tough fixtures.
Quickly, before we actually move on to the more specific positionals across the board, but out of the Chelsea Fulham match, what players would you be looking to hold for that? You've still got Palmer, don't you?
I've got Palmer, but obviously I think he's probably going to be rested, not rest.
Mm.
I've got Sanchez, so I'll be starting Sanchez in goal.
Any Fulham?
Um, I've got King, but I think he's going to be dropped for Smith Rowe this week.
Mm. Which
And
again, switching from Potts to King when Potts gets benched, and then King potentially gets benched.
uh yeah, that was a waste of a transfer to gain the single point because Potts did come on last week and got a
Mm.
solitary point. But must
Man
listen to the
United,
veteran.
Man United, Burnley. What's your investment in that fixture at the moment?
I've got Dorgu and I've got Bruno. Yeah,
Um, just Bruno from Manchester United. Um, Burnley have obviously got Dubravka on the bench and Esteve,
yeah, I've
who
got Dubravka as well.
he's arguably becoming my favourite defender after being the top scorer in my team last week, to actually finding out that on Instagram, he actually, when people ask him about, oh, did you look like you went off with a knock? Are you okay? He actually replies with an injury update directly on his own Instagram. So it's like, okay, I like him.
Brilliant. Yeah, I'll be
So,
tempted to start him this week because Man United are all over the place.
well, you never know. So, never know, especially after the Grimsby result. Um, which yeah, that's why we're recording this at gone 11, gone half 11 on Wednesday night after the Grimsby Manchester United penalty marathon. But anyway, that's getting sidetracked. Spurs Bournemouth. Any existing interest in those at the moment for you?
I've got Porro. Yeah,
Uh, yeah, just Porro myself. There'd be with that fixture, I'll be considering, and we'll speak about them more potentially in possessional, but Tottenham's defence, I think if you're not invested in Tottenham's defence, then to go there, depending on price point, whether that's Romero or Porro or Van de Ven.
yeah, but
Bournemouth,
great picks.
Bournemouth really is arguably only Semenyo, to be honest, at the moment, because Evan Nilsson's not especially firing at the moment.
I like their left back, Truffaut. That's quite a good FPL pick. He's very
Mm.
attacking, and then they've got not so bad fixtures. So if he worth a pump for 4.5 million.
Sunderland, Brentford,
Um, who knows how that one will go?
yeah, that's a
And I've got Ronaldo for Sunderland, who I'm currently starting. I've got no
you're
Brentford
starting him.
players.
Ooh, there's a spoiler alert.
Uh-huh.
Um, Wolves,
But
Everton.
I've got no Wolves or Everton players. Yeah,
I've got Strand Larson for Wolves. which part of me is hoping the Newcastle transfer doesn't go ahead because then he'd be likely to be playing on Saturday. Um, but yeah, I've got him as a representative from Wolves. Everton, Everton's an interesting one because I almost went with Tarkowski at the beginning of the season. Didn't. He's continued his defensive contributions monsterness, and certainly what I'll be keeping my eye on, and I put them in the thumbnail for the video for this video, is Jack Grealish and NDI. NDI was mentioned and floated around quite a bit, and he was in some of my drafts. But Jack Grealish's debut was quite promising with those 2 assists. And did you see the stat that combined the last 2 seasons at Man City, he's only got 2 assists, and yet he did it in his first appearance for Everton.
Yeah, it's looking very exciting for Everton. Both of them are great players, and they could be fantastic FPL assets this year. And
Yeah.
their defence is obviously one of the best in the league.
Mm.
But I think that's got 0-0 written all over it, that game.
Mm. The interesting thing though about Everton is that I think their expected goals conceded is actually surprisingly high, like or shots conceded or something like that, chances conceded. Yet they've only conceded 1 goal. I'm
They
right.
do ride their luck.
So so it's a and that's possibly why Tarkowski is a beast with the defensive contributions, lots of last ditch blocks and interceptions and tackles and so forth, or Pickford making quality saves for his save count.
And penalty saves.
Yep, and penalty saves. Leeds Newcastle, got no interest in that from an FPL perspective. Obviously, do have a lot of personal interest
Yep,
in
same
that.
here. I've got no players.
Multiple Brighton, Man City. I mean, briefly going back to Leeds Newcastle, with Newcastle's situation at the moment, well, we'll come to the defense. We've actually got one of the best statistically defenses, although we conceded 3 to Liverpool. They were there. They were only expected to score because of the chances and so on. It was one point something goals in the game. Like
Uh,
Gravenberch's shot from out of the area was something like a 0.01 chance or something of going, but they were low aspects. So
yeah,
Newcastle's
Newcastle
defender over the
defence.
next 3 weeks could be worth a punt.
Yeah, definitely. I was just about to say that. It's definitely worth
Um,
looking at. I
mm,
did that last season on your advice. So
mm,
I might have to take it again this season. So you got some nice fixtures coming up.
yeah, we've got new set piece coach coming in, which is why we our two goals on Monday were scored from set pieces. Looks like Livramento's got a bit of a long throw weaponry. I don't think they're quite as good as Rory Delap's, but were back in the day for Stoke.
Yeah, it's making a comeback, the long throw in again.
Mm, yeah.
Obviously, my team Oxford are using that tactic for the last couple of seasons.
Mm.
And I think one other
Um,
team's using it as well. I can't remember who now.
anyway, we're quickly going through the last of the sort of ones that were Brighton, Man City. I've only got Reinders in that fixture. Some people are obviously going to look at Haaland as one of the strikers to get in with the transfer combos if they rolled after week 1. Um, Brighton players aren't necessarily high in ownership.
Yeah, I've got Kuiper. He's been very disappointing in the first 2 games.
Quite a few
So,
players have been quite disappointing in the first two
true.
games.
Uh-huh.
Forest,
Yeah, it's a bit unfair to single them out because
mm,
there's 300s.
in terms of form though, West Ham have shown consistency in the first 2 games. Um, would you consider a Nottingham Forest triple up?
Yeah, definitely. It's the most obvious for this week. West Ham have been shocking.
even
I
though
think
Forest have
most of
got.
us have got double up Forest. But
Just
yeah,
wanted to
Forest
make
have
that
got three
extra.
out the next four fixtures are really tasty.
Mm,
Obviously got Arsenal sandwiched in the middle, but
yeah. And then Liverpool, Arsenal, obvious assets, and I've just got Salah from that.
yeah, I've only got Furtz, unfortunately, and I've got Saka, but obviously he's injured.
So, and we'll discuss plans with that later on in the video. Any in Villa and Crystal Palace?
I've stuck with Watkins. I've still got him,
Yeah,
and I've got no
I've got
Palace.
I've got Watkins and Richards in defence. So that sort of what am I going to do with Watkins, and also who will I play and who will I bench? Um, we will look at
The
those
way
in.
that Villa are being, I'd play the Palace defender.
Yeah, true, potentially. Moving on. So, I put all the data, all the info up. We've got FPL Affairs Kieran's, or AKA Hippo, his 5-star prediction challenge. Can you beat Hippo's crystal balls? And for game week 3, after game week 2, he beat me. He got 1 star compared to my 1 star out of 5, and I got 0. So that draws the admin team and Kieran with 1 win each after Kieran got outbeaten by individual points in game week 1 by Bossman Lewis. Anyway, Hippo's predictions for game week 3. The game is prediction star number 1. Game week's best overall player, he feels, is going to be Chris Wood, because West Ham are letting goals in for fun at the moment. Sensible
Uh,
decision, do you think?
yeah, I agree with that, and you'll see why when I show you my team later on.
Oh, oh, interesting.
Bit of a spoiler.
Mm. Differential, so under 5% ownership, top performer. He has gone with Dango at Brentford because he thinks he could get something against Sunderland after his performance in game week 2. Well, he got that goal 12 minutes into his debut, and he also got, as well as that goal from midfield, clean sheet, DEFCON points, bonus points. So there's that possibility of him getting a wider range.
Yeah, he's a brilliant player. I was surprised that Bournemouth let him go. He was
42.
quite handy last year in FPL.
Mm. Although, to be fair, I think I got him in and he didn't really do anything, or possibly did something the first week I got him in last season, then was just blank after blank for a while then. But anyway, that's last season. Most saves, Kieran is predicting. Now, shall we allow this? Because he's put 2 names. He's put Hermanson or Areola, depending who starts for West Ham. Shall we allow that?
Yeah. They're
Bearing
both the West Ham keepers, aren't they?
So yeah, he could have just put West Ham goalkeeper, couldn't he? In that
True.
respect. Yeah. We'll allow it. We'll
I
allow
don't
it
think they'll be
for him.
making many saves. I think they'll just be getting the ball out the net
Yeah.
the way their season's going at the moment.
Mm. Yeah, so he's gone
Uh,
with the West Ham keeper, depending who starts, as there'll just be a lot of pressure from Forest, in his opinion. Game week's highest scoring defender, he's going with Cucurella for Chelsea at home to Fulham, and mainly because Cucurella is on form and looking like he's got the potential to return at both ends of the pitch. To be honest, what do you think about the Cucurella shout?
yeah, he's been brilliant at the end of last season and for the Club World Cup. No, but there's other players who got the same potential this week.
Mm,
It's just a case of getting the right one. So I
yeah.
think Forest defenders could do the same this week.
Mm,
Um, Arsenal defenders might do it. It's a bit of an outside pump.
yeah. And
And
finally,
Dorgu as well might finally get a goal.
his double digit punt or not punt is Bruno Fernandes of Man United, just because he's playing Burnley and he thinks they will want to turn around the result following the Grimsby game this evening, that they'll want to put in a good performance to apologise to the faithful at Old Trafford. Hmm.
He nearly got it last week, didn't he?
Well,
If
as I
he'd
was,
scored the penalty, he would have got double points.
yeah, as I was saying with Lewis in our talking talking points from game week 2 video that penalties are such a fine margin. It's a 7 point swing. You score it, you get +5 points. If you miss it, you lose 2. So there's that 7 point swing. And Bruno, had he scored it, he would have got the 2 appearance points, the 2 DEFCON points he got. So the 5 for a penalty puts him up to 9, and he would have got surely a couple of bonus, at least. So you're looking at double figures just from that one kick.
It's very fine lines.
Mm. Or
Uh,
find nudges from the referee or
yeah,
collisions
it
from the
sums up the
referee.
first 2 weeks.
Mm. Yeah.
That lots of players have been thinking they could have got 2 points and they've ended up with double digits.
Mm. Very
That's the
true.
fun of FPL.
Mm. Well, shall we see who Hippo's challenging this week?
Uh-huh.
So this week, Hippo's challenging, ooh, FPL Affairs Swan, the differential king. That is going to be interesting.
I think it's going to be an easy win for the Swan.
Oh, the pressure's on though, as it's his expertise. You've got the crystal ball versus the king. So that will definitely be one I'll be looking out for. Barry's predictions in his differential video, and we'll see
I
what
think Kieran's going to
he.
get a battering from Barry.
Mm,
He's
hopefully,
taken a liking to that.
hopefully, nothing personal, Kieran, but hopefully. Right, transfers, potential transfers out. We'll get started with goalkeepers at the moment. I think we can skip over that because no one should be at game week 3 making a goalkeeper transfer unless
Maybe
you have.
West Ham keepers.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was about to say. Unless you've got a West Ham goalkeeper.
Uh-huh. Yeah,
So
last week I would have said Brentford keepers, but obviously they kept a clean sheet unexpectedly last week.
mm,
So they're definitely
defenders
worth hanging on
wise,
to.
who would you have your eye on this week if you were making a defensive transfer?
To transfer out.
Yeah, to transfer out.
Um,
Any ones you'd consider
obviously,
getting rid of?
out Nori if I had him because obviously we don't know how injured he is.
Yeah,
Um, obviously, me personally, Dorgu and De Kuiper have both been rubbish so far this season for me. So they're
Dorgu
very
ahead of
much.
Burnley though.
Uh,
Dorgu ahead of the Burnley fixture. Would you actually try
I
if
wouldn't
you?
transfer him out. No, it wouldn't be this week. But yeah, if he doesn't do anything this week, he's definitely probably going to be a gunner.
Yeah, so he's kind of walking the tightrope, as it were, to consider going
Uh,
out. Uh,
yeah,
any midfielders? Well, the obvious ones, Palmer, and I think the latest are that he's trained but away from the group and done his own individual training, and he's not guaranteed out for game week 3. He might be, he might not, but it certainly gives the impression that it's likely he'd be back for game week 4. So it still raises the question about if that's the case, do you sell him? Do you still sell him, or do you keep hold and bench?
uh, I'm keeping him because I've got bigger worries. But a lot of people are selling him this week to free up
Mm.
funds for their team.
I think that's the main debate with Palmer really is if you're going if you're going to sell him despite if it's despite what Maresca confirms in his press talk on Friday about Palmer's involvement at the weekend, if he's going to, that he may be rested, he may be benched, he may not. We'll get an update, and it would be if you can afford to bench him, if you've got sufficient players on the bench that you've got, okay, I'm okay with their fixtures, I'll play them, then it could be worth keeping. But I think those people, myself included, that rolled our first transfer and have got 2, it's kind of an opportune moment if he is out, to downgrade him and use funds from Parma to upgrade somewhere else. Like, for example, if you've got a Guiu third on your bench for Sunderland. Yes, he started in the cup. Yes, he came off the bench last weekend. But you may think, you know what, I'll find an alternative to Palmer, take some money out and boost Guiu up. The other midfielders,
I've got
Bruno's
Saka.
actually, yep, Saka, you've got him, haven't you?
Uh-huh. So that's pretty my likely transfer this week if I do one.
And yeah,
It's-
because he's rumored 4 to 5, 3 to 4 weeks actually. So
yeah, he's touch and go for week and four. Obviously,
yeah,
he's definitely out this week.
mm.
But
Bruno's
Furtz is on my
actually Bruno's actually after his penalty miss, people have been selling him by the load without actually necessarily looking at the fixtures to see that he's got Burnley at home, which is a bit bonkers. Personally, I'm keeping hold of him because of and especially with Mbermo missing in the shootout tonight.
and Kuna
Yeah,
missed.
I'd expect Bruno's keeping hold of pens. He got defensive contributions at the weekend. Just that wide avenue of points where he can get points from his different avenues of points, set pieces and def con and attacking returns and so on. But he's definitely keeping an eye on based on his positional play. And they after Burnley, they have got some tough fixtures, haven't they?
Yeah, Bruno's actually the only one of my five midfielders that I wouldn't sell this week.
Mm.
That's the state of my midfield at the moment.
For and forward line, I think. What are your first thoughts on potential transfers out for forwards?
Uh, Obviously, everyone's transferring out Watkins, but I personally think you should keep him because they've got great fixtures coming up.
Yeah, and he's proven it's just to suck it up and be brave and patient. I think the
Uh,
only
Solanke, if anyone's got him, probably should be transferred out.
mm,
I
but then
think
as
not.
his fitness comes back, and European football comes back, it'll be interesting to see how Richarlison's minutes are managed.
Yeah, he's
Um,
apparently number one now, isn't he?
mm,
At the moment.
yeah, at the moment, but then with the international break and if Solanke getting up to speed, it's still a wait and see to a degree. Um,
Uh,
but other
and
forwards,
Bowen's the other one.
as well as Watkins out, I think one of them really is if you've got two transfers and you're using the likes of Watkins to upgrade him to Haaland, then fair enough, fair play. Um, and one to watch, but I'm probably being patient with him for me. Um, Mainly it's Fulkrug that I'm looking at outgoing, which will go when we move on to our own individual teams.
Yeah,
Um,
both him and Bowen are pre-sales this week.
mm,
I've got to stick with Bowen because I've got bigger problems. But I
which
think
kind of
Fulcrum could be benched this week.
mm, which kind of moves us on really to the potential transfers in for this week. We'll skip over the goalkeepers.
So Raya might be worth a mention because
What for save points against Liverpool?
uh, obviously not the Liverpool fixture, but he surprised me. He's got stay points this season. We didn't get many last year. And they've
Yeah,
got the
clean
best
sheet or
expected.
nothing.
Uh, but yeah, he might be worth a punt.
Mm. I'm mainly really thinking for if you're considering making a defensive transfer for whatever reason, whether that's to replace Aït because of his injury, is after their opening 2 weeks, I'd say you're looking at any of the Spurs defenders. Well, primarily 5.5 Porro. If you're looking for a 5.0, then Romero, which I think certainly at the moment there's not much in that between those two, Porro and Romero. I think because the attacking returns from Porro is marginally there, but Romero's got more Defcons to get started. And then Van
Yeah, I
der
think
Ven, if you're looking for
Romero's
a
better.
4.5.
You there still?
Yeah.
Yeah, any of the Spurs defenders, even Spence, is still at 4.5 million.
Mm. Other than that, Cucurella,
Palace.
we mentioned, well, because of Kieran's prediction this week. Palace are looking good. Lequois got DEFCON bonus points in both matches so far. Munoz got an assist in the last one. Tarkowski, we mentioned for Everton, because he's consistent with the DEFCONs. We mentioned Palace. If you're looking at the cheaper end, you've got Richards as well, who I've got. Any others
Yeah,
that you
the
would think of?
Forest defenders, apart from Arsenal in week 4, they've got
Mm.
3 fantastic fixtures. And
Even though most people have already got a Forest defender anyway.
True.
But it's been frustrating that they haven't kept a clean sheet yet, conceded 1 in each occasion.
Which has done my rank good actually, because a lot of people have doubled up on them.
Mm.
And so here's Newcastle. Obviously, their defenders might be worth looking at.
Well,
They've impressed me the first 2 games.
Trippier, I'm not so sure because Lewis Hall's coming back from injury, and it's likely that when he's fit, he'll be starting left back, and Livramento will be moved from covering left back onto right, and Trippier would be benched. So, and after Tuesday, Shah's got a concussion injury. So protocol means he'll be missing at the weekend. So he wouldn't be one to get. Arguably this week, really, you'd be looking at Dan Burn to bring in, or
How much
Livramento.
this season?
I think they're basically, apart from Lewis Hall, who's 5.5, all the others are the main ones. So actually, I'm wondering Shah might be 5.5 as well. But Burn is 5.0, Trippier's 5.0, Livramento's 5.0. Then I think Botman might be 5.0 as well, or he might be 4.5. I'm not sure. That'll have to check, but at the moment he wouldn't be worth looking at for defenders from a defensive point of view. So as the defense covered, what about the midfielders this week? Whether you're wildcarding, free hitting, free transfers, what are your first thoughts on who to look at?
Gakpo and Semenyo are obviously the standout for the first 2 weeks.
Despite the fixture for Gakpo,
Yeah, despite the fixture.
he does have a good
The,
record, in particular at Anfield, I think, Gakpo.
Same as Semyon against Spurs. In the Spurs have been good. He got a brace against Liverpool, so who says he can't do it against Spurs?
Oh, Semenyo of Bournemouth, yeah,
Yeah.
possibly
Uh,
go up against their defence. And I'd still say we've spoke about him already, but I'd still say Bruno's a good shout for this weekend. My captain's armband's on him at the moment, but who knows? I may
yeah.
change that. I may not.
Cunha and Mbeumo might be worth a punt. I don't know if it's a waste of a transfer because they've got awful fixtures coming up. It's really just a 1 week punt.
Yeah,
But
that would
after
be.
their game tonight,
I'd think it would
uh,
be if if anyone was free hitting, then certainly to consider them for this week against Burnley, but not necessarily a transfer in for longer term fixtures. I think other ones really notably, you've mentioned
Forest.
Benyo, we've mentioned Bruno, briefly sort of mentioned Mbermo as to whether or not to bring him in. But as said, it depends on whether it's a punt or a free hit. I think free hit's more inclined for him with their fixtures. But as for form, you mentioned Gakpo. What about Kudus of Spurs? His performance over the opening couple of weeks
Yeah,
and
all the
with
Spurs
Spurs.
midfielders are great options. They've got good fixtures. They've started brilliantly. And that's whatever your budget's got, it's definitely worth going for.
Yeah, and Kudus is on. He's on some set pieces. Um, appears to have a good understanding with Richarlison. So that's borne fruit for each side.
Yeah, he's got a great expected assist. I think it's 0.54 I saw, but his expected goals are only 0.03.
mm,
And obviously, if Spurs bring anyone in um, before the transfer window, long term, he might not be so great. But definitely for this game week, it's a good pick.
you got Sar of Crystal Palace now that Eze's gone. Bring on the mantle because he scored at the weekend against Forest.
Uh, yeah, they've got brilliant fixtures again, and he's their main man in midfield. So, yep, he's definitely worth considering, and he's only 6.5 million, isn't he?
Yeah, he's good at that mid-price point alongside Kudus, and then veering a bit more towards the budget end. I think Reinders is still worth considering. Um, but also, especially with home tie against West Ham, Anderson of Forest. Still can't believe he's got 11 DEFCONs in both opening fixtures when he needs 12 to get the
Yeah,
bonus points.
shame.
That's yeah,
Yeah,
one tackle, one ball recovery, one, interception for
uh,
each in each game, and that's an extra 2 points for each.
yeah. He's looking an absolute bargain. Has he got up to 5.6 million yet? Was he still
No,
5.5?
no, not that I'm aware of. Still 5.5.
Yeah, he's a great
Anderson
enabler, and he might
still
be boring,
5.5.
but
Yeah.
he's definitely racking up the points.
Mm. I think Dango, Kieran's shout, that's he'd be worth considering. So I think he's 6.0. So if you can possibly stretch beyond the 5.5s, but not quite to a 6.5, he'll be a good ticking over. And as we explained earlier in the video, how he got avenue to points right throughout, all in one game with clean sheet and defcons and scoring and bonus and so on and so on and so on. And I think lastly, over the next 3 weeks, well, Anthony Gordon was on my provisional list for this slide, which obviously he is not on now after his red card against Liverpool. But from an attacking perspective, we briefly mentioned about Dan Burn or Livramento being the ones to target defensively from Newcastle over the next few weeks. And from a midfield perspective, you're kind of really looking for the next one. Short term punt would be more potentially Harvey Barnes. Longer term, Alanga. I would probably say Alanga looks likely, and I think Murphy's recovering from some slight injury, so I think Alanga's going to be minutes are pretty secure. And Barnes is question mark, depending on how they want to utilize Jacob Ramsey.
Did any of the midfield three get DEFCON points against Liverpool?
No, no, they didn't. I think it
Uh,
was just Dan Burn.
uh,
just down
Yeah, I was
there.
looking at Tanioli for 5.5 million.
Sandro Tonali, 5.5,
Yeah,
injured. He
as he injured.
Came off against Liverpool, injured shoulder injury. Um, Uncertain as to how long for at the moment, but yeah, definitely out for the weekend, I'd say. So
Yes.
he would. I think he's one of those that I would say he's our best player, even better than Grimares, I would say. Just.
Yeah, I'd agree with that.
Um, and I'd also say, irrelevant of the Isak situation, I'd say Tonali's more influential to us. Debatable, confrontational, possibly. Decision, controversial. That was the word I was looking for. But yeah, I'd say Tonali's more influential to us than Isak. But
Yeah, you
that's
missed
for
him when he served his suspension last season.
that's for another video. Forwards wise, I would say really the only ones that I'd consider getting in would be Haaland as part of a combo. The next two obvious ones are Chris Wood and João Pedro, because João Pedro is likely to be on penalties if Palmer's out, and he's so much more influential in the number 10 role. Ekatike is worth watch list, I would think, with all the transfer uncertainty.
Yeah,
What do you say? What you pardon?
Watkins has got great fixtures, and he did the same last season. He blanked the first 2 game weeks, and he went on the scoring run. So I know lots of transferring him out, but
Mm,
uh,
I think some of
yeah,
the
it's
people
spoiled for choice on strikers at the moment.
I think some of the people transferring him out will be ones that are using it as part of a combo transfer to get to Haaland.
Mm. Yeah, they're either doing that or they're going to Gokares, which I think's a bad move because Arsenal got some horrible fixtures coming up.
Yeah, yeah, that's a blind aspect. As for any others, Evan Nilsson hasn't started sensationally at Bournemouth, so I wouldn't necessarily look to bring him in. Thiago at Brentford, more likely. I've got Strand Larsen, and I'm watching him with his Newcastle potential move or potential not move. Um, but again, a lot of those are putting a hold on because of the transfer window. Um,
Yeah, I love Strand Larsen. It'd be brilliant for Newcastle if you get him.
if you were making any, I know you've got the various different issues in your team that we'll cover in the second part. But you're looking at any forward transfer changes?
I'm not this week, but if I would, Bowen's probably go in my lineup.
Who would you probably go for? Do you think?
Um, Pedro probably because of his ownership. It was hurt the most. But I love Ekatike.
Mm,
But I'd have to find 500,000 from somewhere else
yeah,
or more than that now.
yeah. If you're going from Bowen, yeah. Has Bowen
So I
dropped?
already own Woods and Watkins.
Mm,
As I said, there's about 6 strikers I'd love to own.
yeah,
And I think it's just to be a bit of luck and having the right striker at the right time. And
yeah.
I've
It
had
is.
no luck so far.
Mm.
I think I've had one return from my 3 strikers in the first
I've
2 games.
I haven't had any from my
Have you
forwards.
not?
No.
Ouch.
Yeah, yeah. Ouch. Um,
Yeah, it's
so
such fine margins.
yeah, in which case, in which case we'll wrap this transfer video up and start up the second part, which will include both my team and Weasel's team and what we have planned for game week 3. So, how can you get in touch? Where can you find us? Our email address is lowercase fplaffairs@gmail.com, On X, our user handle is at FPL Affairs. Facebook, the group link is in our description on the YouTube video channel, and alternatively you could search the Facebook group for FPL Affairs. We should pop straight up. Our YouTube channel is /at FPL Affairs, and the Spotify links are generally found at the bottom of the video, or on Spotify you could search up FPL Affairs. There may still be time to join our leagues if you haven't already. The Classic League code is 12RRCG, or the Classic code is lowercase I6NQNB. Unfortunately, the head-to-head league is now closed as the season has started. Thanks, Weasel, for your help and contributions to predictions and transfer suggestions for Game Week 2. Join our other video to see what we are thinking of doing with our own teams. All that's left to say is keep your FPL affairs under wraps until this evening's deadline. Bye-bye. Don't forget to like and subscribe.